He's Citizen Murdoch, the head of the world's biggest private media empire.
Murdoch likes to own newspapers.
Murdoch controls 175 newspapers, book and internet businesses, and some of the most popular and strident TV networks.
You know what I was doing?
Shut up. Shut up about sex. Shut up.
But how healthy is it to concentrate such global power in one man?
Is not defensible as a part of any liberal democracy.
Today, his news corporation is the biggest private media conglomerate the world has ever seen.
We operate in more than 75 countries, 30 languages, 3/4 of the world's population.
Murdoch made a Faustian pact with conservative leaders Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan. His media outlets backed them, and they smoothed his road to controlling a global media empire. But it was his relationship with British Labour leader Tony Blair that revealed Murdoch in his true politically promiscuous colours.
Very early on, after becoming leader of the Labour Party, Tony Blair flew literally halfway around the world to Australia to speak to Rupert Murdoch and his principal executives.
The British Labour Party regarded Murdoch as the devil incarnate.
In his party, who have told him that there is no spoon long enough to allow him to sup safely with the Murdoch devil.
Murdoch offered Blair a deal, support in making him Prime Minister in return for extraordinary power within the British government.
He was actually more influential in terms of policy with the Prime Minister than most of the members of the Cabinet, and in effect he was the 22nd member of the British Cabinet.
Across the world, Murdoch has proved keenly aware of the tension between journalism and his business interests.
He owned the South China Morning Post. They ran some articles that said the wrong thing about China, and he immediately sold the paper. And he said, why should I own a newspaper that makes people angry in Beijing, which is a place where I wish to do business?
But it was the Iraq War which revealed the extent to which Murdoch was prepared to use his extraordinary personal power to influence the course of world events.
Rupert, is there any agenda that you want to shape? For example, take the war. I mean, have you shaped that agenda at all in terms of how the war is viewed? I mean, we've tried.
He adopted it as a house policy. He got more or less the war that he was shouting for. That is, incompetent, underfunded, pointless, cruel and bizarre. But he got a war.
Today, the world's most pragmatic private media magnate increasingly dictates what we read, hear and see.
We report, you decide.
They're not favoring anyone.
It's potentially catastrophic. If the media is simply a servant of whatever bunch of burglars have seized power in the capital, then democracy is in red out bread.
Real journalism, fair and balanced.
The real revolutionary breakthrough of Fox has been it's eliminated journalism. I mean, that's the thing to understand. What Fox News Channel has done is it's stripped out any notion of journalism as we've traditionally understood it from its product. There is no journalism at the Fox News Channel.
What? Listen, cut his mic.
Listen, Chad, stop. Chad,
I want to test if you're an honest individual.
All right. I'm sorry to cut you off. I know we're in some controversial stuff here, but my religion didn't teach me that. But thank you very much for being here.
It's a right-wing network, and you don't want to hear this stuff.
You want to do.
It's not about the kid. It's about you, Jamie. Let's go. Okay. Thank you, Jamie. Let's sign up the left.
I'm doing. Yes.
Good night. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you.
Don't take your cheap little pathetic shot. I am telling you that that's what
you're taking cheap little pathetic shots.
Just giving his
trying
record.
to tell you what the truth is. No, you're misrepresenting his record.
I'm telling the truth, sir. That's the truth about his record.
I understand what your position is not correct.
I'd like to hear one single... you're on satellite radio, because you can't get on regular radio.
Paula Evans, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Bill, if you are so concerned about public figures being bad role models for children, please stop rudely interrupting your guests and telling them to shut up. Well, the shut up line has happened only once in 6 years, Miss Evans.
Well, you know, I think that asking a student to stay in the closet in order to go to school is a lot like asking an African-American student.
Want to know what I was doing? Shut up.
Please don't tell me to shut up.
As respect
Why did you have to tell him you were an atheist if you didn't have any trouble reading the oath? Why didn't you just shut up? What Jimmy Carter should do is privately give Mr. Bush his opinion and shut up publicly. That would be best for the country. And it is our duty as loyal Americans to shut up once the fighting begins. Once the war against Saddam begins, we expect every American to support our military, and if they can't do that, to shut up. All he's got in 6.5 years is that I misspoke, that I labeled a polka war to Peabody. He writes it in his book. He tries to make me out to be a liar.
No, that's
shut up.
No,
you had your
up.
35 minutes. Shut up.
The techniques of odd polling and odd graphics of Democrats and weird banners in the lower third of your screen. These are all pretty sophisticated techniques, and they work in collaboration with the most genius marketing slogan in history, which is fair and balanced.
So if you're the graphics department and you can put up a liberal flip-flopper as the Chiron, hey, that's great, because the next time the graphics department has a discussion with management say, yeah, you guys have been doing a great job.
Graphics are always moving in the background. They've sort of pioneered the use of the American flag as an icon of your news broadcast.
So there's a lot of stuff that people come up with on their own, which in other news organizations you'd never think of coming up with some of the stuff, much less even putting it on the air. But at Fox News, there's sort of you're rewarded for pushing the envelope, and if you're pushing the envelope against a Democrat and in support of a Republican, that's great. The problem comes if you try to push the envelope, or God forbid, should put in some sort of similar sort of style or approach to Republican, then you get yourself in trouble.
Probably 1999, I created the Fox News Alert. We were striving to accomplish a sense of urgency. Urgency in the sense that what was about to be delivered after the Fox News Alert was very important. Quote-unquote shocking news, specifically Columbine, and all the other important news stories of that time. But now, looking back, now that I'm not there, I find it interesting that I've seen the Fox News Alert used for stories like Bennifer, J-Lo and Ben's relationship. I mean, this compared to a school shooting, and there's really no relationship to me. And I don't understand why, based on what we originally created it for, why they would choose to use it for a story like that. Because the sound and the visual is associated, or originally was associated, with things that were much more important.
This is a Fox News Alert. A very busy day for Martha Stewart. Earlier today, she met with her parole officer.
No, they deliberately blur it, and I find it very hard to believe. You know, there's no separation between Bill O'Reilly, the interviewer, and Bill O'Reilly with his talking points. I mean, there's just no separation at all.
Jimmy Carter is making yet another mistake, and this time, there's no excuse for it. And that's the memo. Now for the top story tonight, another view on this.
It's very hard on Fox News to separate news from commentary because it all blends together. That's what makes it so ridiculous, that slogan, we report, you decide. Because there's no TV news channel in history that's ever reported less.
For example, a Brit Hume newscast, which is presented as a newscast, I think you see a lot of attitude and opinion, both from the anchor and from the reports.
Welcome to Washington. I'm Britt Hume. There was further evidence today that President Bush's days of absorbing John Kerry's attacks without counterattack are over.
Fox blurs the line between news and commentary all over the place. We are to believe that Britt Hume is the anchor of a news outlet. He doesn't bring strong politics to it. He just happens to anchor the newscast like Peter Jennings. On Sundays, Britt Hume turns into a rather caustic right-wing pundit.
Look, this goes to Murdoch, too. He doesn't believe in objectivity. He doesn't believe, he has contempt for journalism, I think. I mean, they wanted all news to be a matter of opinion, because opinion can't be proven false. And I think that's very dangerous, because if people don't have a set of facts that they can agree on, I think it's difficult to reach a consensus on, what's correct public policy.
It wasn't so much a scripted design that promoted the off-the-cuff ad-libs that you see so often on Fox News Channel. It was sort of a reinforcement.
John Kerry is Jane Fonda with the Burberry scarf tied around his neck.
Any ad-lib that made the Democrats look stupid and made the Republicans look smart would get an attaboy So a pat on the back, a wink, or a nod.
Well, you know, there's an old pizza expression, you've tried all the rest, now try the best. Some people say, especially on that panel there, those commissioners, that Condoleezza Rice might be the best, and we haven't heard from her publicly, at least
Are you saying the commission's cheesy? You wouldn't say that.
No.
They're crusty on the panel? Okay.
John Kerry has Kim Jong-il on his side. Barbara Streisand? What could go wrong?
North Korea loves John Kerry.
Really?
Yeah.
There's no sense of integrity as far as having a line that can't be crossed. Not having that sort of line becomes very tempting for somebody to self-promote by crossing the line, saying something funny that you would never dare say if you were stepping back and looking at it from the sense of a journalism school and is this the right thing for journalism